we see good things abroad and we are willing to spend overseas, but people are not willing to spend it in Malaysia because they feel like, oh, the quality is not there or it's not up to par. But I feel like we can train Malaysians to be up to par. We can actually create things that other people can create too overseas.
You're listening to Foodie Canteen. I'm your host, Castle Lim. And in this podcast, I'm sitting down with Southeast Asia's leaders, entrepreneurs, and content creators in the F&B space. You will learn about their trade secrets, or you'll just find them as your next door neighbor. This show is supported by Good Foodie Media. For foodie who wants to connect to the world through food, they curate the best spots to eat and drink in Malaysia, Bangkok, and Singapore. Check them out on Instagram for more. On the show today, we have a powerhouse with us. She's one of the most followed food and beauty entrepreneurs in Malaysia. Stick around to hear her story. Hey, Chryseis, welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you feeling today?
I'm good, thank you.
So for our listeners who might not be familiar with you, can you briefly tell us who you are and what you do?
Okay, so I'm Chryseis. I work for Curate Group of companies, and I'm also an entrepreneur. I'm in the food, F&B, and beauty industry. That's it about me.
Yeah, I can't wait to dive into all your ventures, but I want to talk a bit about your childhood. How was your childhood like? I mean, how were you like growing up?
I guess I was always a very curious person. And also I think I'm quite an adventurous person. I pretty much get bored easily. So I like to try new things. Trying new things excites me, or like going to new places. And I think in my childhood, I was pretty lucky that I've been, able to go around in the world and also lived in a few countries before. So I guess, that was how my childhood was like, basically growing up.
And you went to school in Japan too, right? How was the experience for you?
Yes, I actually studied in Japan for about, I would say, 3 years. It was an eye-opener, I would say. Very, very different from Malaysia. Everything is very proper. And I think living in Japan really gave me a new experience in life. It really has taught me to be, very patient, and it's so new and people there are so polite. So it really has given me a new experience in life.
So was Japan your first choice when you wanted to go away for school?
No, I would say Japan definitely wasn't my first choice. I really wanted to go to UK because obviously all my friends were there. I did A-levels in Malaysia, and then my dad said, okay, you know what? You are going to Japan. And I was like, no, I don't want to go to Japan. So he took me on a holiday and he says, look how beautiful this country is. You'll learn a new language, a new culture. And I thought, okay, I guess I'll give it a shot. It wasn't my first choice, but I can tell you that I did not regret it today.
Mm. When did you know you wanted to become an entrepreneur? Was it like at a young age you instantly know, or did it run in the family?
I guess growing up, we always spoke about business, at dinner tables, at our conversations and all that. So I guess I never really wanted to be anything else. I remember when we were in Form 3, we had the PMR exam. And, I got straight A's, so they automatically will put you in a science stream. And I was like, no, I really wanted to be in commerce because I just knew that I wanted to do business, that is something that excites me. So I guess, I just chose to do business then, and it just has stuck with me since I was young. So never really thought about being something else, a lawyer or a doctor or a scientist, never.
You're also the founder of Curate Group. It is a boutique hospitality company with a number of Japanese restaurants under it. How did the idea to start this come about?
Okay, so my first F&B venture was Greyhound, and it didn't go so well, also because of the pandemic. But So Curate Group actually started maybe about 2 years ago. And it all started when my husband just wanted a Japanese restaurant in his building. He was like, why don't you open a Japanese restaurant in my building? And I thought, not really. I don't really want to go into F&B again. And he says like, but you love Japanese food so much. You lived in Japan, you probably can come up with something. And I was like, okay. So I called a few friends. I just casually asked if you want to be partners. And they automatically said yes. And, they'll leave everything to me. So I said, okay. So that was how it started, actually. So it started because of passion, as, part of a hobby, I would say, but it actually turned into, quite a good business. Yeah.
And it has 7 restaurants and they are all unique on their own. How do you come up with each concept?
So actually it started with Sushi View, which is a sushi restaurant, but we kind of made it a bit more modern. It's not very, what do you call that? One of its kind overseas, but in Malaysia, there wasn't something like that before. So, it was sushi, counter seats, but we actually made it a bit more modern. We used like, truffles and different ingredients. So, it's basically what I like. And I thought maybe Malaysians will like it too. And true enough, they really enjoyed it. So that was how we opened. So we expanded from one restaurant to another. And I brought in chefs from Japan, to come in to do collaborations. And most of our chefs are actually local, but they're actually trained by some of the Japanese chefs that I brought from overseas. So that was how it all started. And then from one concept, we, evolved to have 2 concepts, 3 concepts. So each concept is unique. And actually the latest addition was Hyde. It's a modern dining cuisine, nothing to do with Japanese cuisine. It all started because he was actually a friend. He was working overseas and he got stuck in Malaysia due to the pandemic. So, we had a chat and said like, so I actually encouraged him to stay in Malaysia because before that he was going to go to San Francisco. So I was like, no, you have to stay in Malaysia. Let's do something in Malaysia. And he was like, okay, why not? Since I'm now stuck in Malaysia, we decided to start that venture. So each venture is different and has its own story, basically. Yeah, it all came about like differently.
And Curate Group was founded on the thought that you want Malaysians to, like you said, experience the local and good food from Japan, like what you have experienced during your time abroad in Japan. Why do you think it's important to diversify the food culture in our country?
I think it's really important because, you don't want the businesses to be exactly the same. Competition is good, but I don't think we should do the exact same thing. We should always try to innovate from, it can be, let's say, Japanese cuisine, but we have to innovate it a little so that it's different from other restaurants that's already available out there. It's not competition is not a bad thing, I would say, but we can always try to make it better. We can always try to innovate and basically push Malaysians to be more creative. Like, for example, in Thailand, it's our neighboring country, but their food scene is booming so much that because people there are creative, like I would say a little more creative than Malaysians here because, like, let's say, for example, there was a cafe boom in Malaysia and everyone opened the exact same coffee shop, serving the exact same thing. But, you actually have to make it a bit special to draw your customers in. You always have to change. You always have to innovate and make things a little different from others. There's no point copying 100% when you see somebody who does well, right? So I think that Malaysians should try to be a bit more creative and, try to change it up a little so that we can also, as consumers, try something different. Like, as you say, I studied in Japan. So of course, there are things there that's different from Malaysia. And those are the things I want to bring in. So I want Malaysians to be able to try what's new, Not everyone is so privileged and to be able to travel overseas or to live overseas. So I think bringing it back is so important. Like, through experiences, we travel so much. Like, we see good things abroad, and we are willing to spend overseas, but people are not willing to spend it in Malaysia because they feel like, oh, the quality is not there or it's not up to par. But I feel like we can train Malaysians to be up to par. We can actually create things that other people can create too overseas. So I think that's really important. Yeah.
And how is Curate Group doing that to elevate, I would say, the current dining scene in Malaysia?
So as I say, we always try to change and we try to innovate. We come up with new things. And I think, before the pandemic, of course, I'm not talking about, the situation right now, but before the pandemic, we always, I try to get chefs to collaborate with Curate Group, so when all these chefs, they come in, they actually teach our Malaysians, what to do, like new skills, basically. It's like a school, right? You learn from people who are experienced. So Curate Group aims to bring experienced people from abroad to come in, but to train our local talents. We don't keep them for a long time. So that's why we do collaborations, but they do have the 1-2 weeks of training when they're here. So I feel like our staff and local Malaysians can actually learn from them and to also create something and to also push their creativity to create something new and also to localize it a little with, our taste buds here. So you learn a skill from, let's say, a chef overseas, but you can also localize. So it just pushes them to create and, just be creative and innovative. Yeah. Because in the food scene, you have to also innovate, right? Because if everything is always the same, then people get bored easily. Yeah. And then after that, when you get bored, then people don't come to your place and then, your business won't be successful. So you always have to adapt to change because people just keep getting more and more exposed each day. So you have to also keep up with, the changes in the world and change your business, basically.
What's the challenges you are currently facing now in business?
Oh, wow. I think it's not only us. The world I would say, is in a crisis, right? A lot of local businesses are doing so badly, and we're no different. We couldn't operate for 3 months now. And doing takeaway is not the same for the F&B industry. People for us, because Curate Group is more focused on fine dining. So people actually have to come to the restaurant to experience everything, that is what we can provide when we have dine-in. So it's very different from doing takeaways. Of course, we try to, give better packaging, try to maintain food quality through deliveries, but, it's tough. So everyone is actually having a tough time now, not just us. I wouldn't say we're nowhere near break even, times are just so bad, but we just have to keep pushing, or else what can we do? We don't want to shut up businesses because then it will affect the livelihood of our staffs. So we try to, keep afloat, basically. Yeah.
And what are some methods you are using to do that? Like you said, fine dine is focused a lot on the dining experience and delivering it is just different. Is there some things that you guys have tried in this pandemic to just bring the experience for your customers at home?
Yeah, we try to maintain food quality. We try to, send it, as fast as we can so that the food doesn't really get cold. Or what we do is, we teach them how to heat up the food again so that, it's as good as in a restaurant. It wouldn't be 100%, but we try our best, so that it's 80%, 90%. And we only do dishes that is definitely available to take away, or it's good to take away. We definitely can't do most of the dishes that we do when we have dine-in, but we try our best still,
Is there a pandemic lesson you have learned so far?
I think a pandemic lesson that I've learned is we have to really adapt, to current situations. I think that's so important, adapting to current situations. When we first had the first MCO, we were like, oh my gosh, what do? We have to start ordering packaging and all that. We have never thought that we need to change how we operate our business. So adapting to change is so important, or else we'll have literally zero income. So now maybe we have a bit, we can cover probably just the rent, but we can't even cover our staff costs and all that. But, just a bit like goes a long way, basically. Yeah.
For many of us who is following you on Instagram pre-pandemic, you are always on the go. One moment you're in Japan.
I am, yeah. Like, as I say, I'm a person that gets bored so easily. So staying home is driving me nuts, not gonna lie.
Yeah, and travel plays a big part in your life, right?
Yeah, I guess it really does because, I'm always on the go. I'm not the type of person that stays put. And it has traveling always gives me inspiration because I learn new things when I travel. When I see new things, I'm like, oh, wow, this is something I can do in Malaysia, for example. And that has really changed quite a bit in the past 2 years. We've been stuck here for 2 years, or 1.5 years.
Almost 2 years now.
Almost 2 years, I know, exactly. So, it has been a bit different. So what we can do now is only, travel through our phones, right? We're lucky that we actually can still see things online. We can try to imagine. That's about it. And, we can read a lot more, but it's nothing like having to experience it. Definitely,
And aside from not being able to travel, I think it's been a pretty exciting year for you because you just launched your own beauty brand. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Oh, yes. I basically launched my beauty brand when I was pregnant, which was maybe about a year ago. Wait, no. So it started about 2 years ago. So, we were doing research and development and all that. And those who know me know that I'm really obsessed with my skin. So I'm always looking for new facial products or looking at what's affordable or not too crazy. Because thinking about it, I've actually spent so much on skincare. And I thought, okay, you know what? Firstly, of course, I think it's a good business. That's why I want to be in it. And secondly, I thought that maybe I can create something a little more affordable, but also as good as, the premium brands. So that was how it started. And I remember I was pregnant. I had really bad nausea. So I actually took two months of a rest, but we still continue trying the products and doing research and development. And also I give my samples to my friends and my family to try, because not only my opinion matters, I feel other people's opinion matters to me too. So when everything was set to go, I launched a beauty brand. So that was how it started actually.
And how is it going now with LUMI Beauty?
So we launched last year, even though we started this business 2 years ago, but we only launched last year in September. So it's been few months, almost close to a year now. And it's been doing good, not too bad. Considering the pandemic. So I'm really, really grateful to, of course, all my followers and, to everyone who supports me from the beginning. It's just so nice to see that people appreciate what I've done and, what I've created, basically. Yeah. So it's quite fulfilling. Yeah. To know that people actually like the things you create, your ideas and all that, getting support, also for Curate Group, we get a lot of support from friends, family, followers, and just basically Malaysians. I'm just really, really grateful for that. Yeah.
A lot of women my age and my friends around me, they look up to you as a successful entrepreneur who is very fearless, who just is a go-getter. For those who are listening, do you have any advice for them?
Yeah, I wouldn't think that I'm super successful to be giving advice because I would say I make mistakes too. Every day is a learning process to me. And I think this should be for everyone as well. You read, you learn, you look at things online, you learn. And I feel that being patient, being persistent, and never giving up is so important as well. So yes, to everyone out there, just do what makes you happy. Don't be afraid and just, never give up.
So what's next for you?
Good question. What's next for me? I think I don't really have new plans at the moment because, we're in a pandemic and keeping our businesses alive is just so tough right now. We have businesses that are losing so much money, our hotel industry and all that, I really hope that, I can keep those businesses alive first before even thinking of doing new things, right? So what's next? I don't know, but I really hope everything, goes well and the pandemic can be over soon and everyone can, restart and like continue their businesses, basically. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Chryseis, for coming on the show and sharing your story with us.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
You have just listened to Foodie Canteen. Special thanks to Chryseis for sharing her story. The show is produced by me, your host, Castle Lim, and co-written by Mei Rui Kwa. Foodie Canteen podcast is made possible by the excellent team at Good Foodie Media. Check us out on Instagram and Facebook at Foodie Canteen for more. Follow us for brand new episodes every Friday. Thanks for listening.